Hey, this is Daniel from the Blue Corner.
And John from the Red Corner.
And today we're going to start a series that I've been wanting to do since day one and finally getting around to it, and that is my top 100 games of all time.
Man.
I have played, I try to log every game I've ever played in my life. 1,000 games, and I finally found 100 that I feel really good about putting on this list.
The top 10%.
That's right.
That's what they would be.
Which is kind of weird because that's like 10% of games I enjoy. Actually, what I did is I went to Board Game Geek and I said everything I rated an 8 to a 10, go ahead and put in Pub Meeple. And that was 143 games.
Which sounds like a lot.
It does sound like
that's
a
high
lot.
rating.
That is. So yeah, but that's also a tenth of the games I've played that I think is pretty high.
Maybe you're just very discerning.
No. No.
Where's all the sixes?
Oh, well, that's fair. Actually, I think most of them are sixes. I actively had to change how I thought about games so that I would stop giving everything a 7 and an 8.
I gotcha.
Because after a while, I was like, no, they're not all 8s. But these are all 8s, 9s, and 10s. So you guys ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
Yeah,
What do we start
100
with?
through 91.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so number 100 is Star Trek Fleet Captains.
Star Trek Fleet Captains.
That's right. This is a old WizKids game from the early 2000 teens, and it is definitely Star Trek in a box. Okay. It is. Go ahead.
What Star Trek? Old school Star Trek? Next Generation?
Well, it could be anything actually. It's a combination of all of them. So what happens is you have the box is this large box, and it has two factions in it. It has the Romulans. Nope, not the Romulans. Klingons. The Klingons and the Federation in there. And the Federation ships can range from Voyager all the way to the first Enterprise, even from Enterprise. So everything is in there. But you have the space is laid out in a map, and each player has so many action points, and they're progressing and exploring space. They can explore planets, and then there will be events on those planets that you can interact with. And then sometimes you can like beam down your specials teams to the planet itself and interact with it.
Do you decide what color shirts they're wearing when you beam them down?
No, you do not.
Oh, dang.
There's also some deck building in this, deck construction, I should say. So you also can have like, I'm going to pick 3 Federation decks. So I'm going to pick Next Generation, I'm going to pick the original series, and I'm going to pick science officers. Okay. That's not exactly how it breaks down, but it roughly breaks down like that.
Okay.
And these decks help you populate your ships with crew. Also, you're given missions, like they're like red, blue, and yellow, and each ship has different values of red, blue, and yellow, which is like military, science, and exploration. And you're attempting these missions, and the first to get to 10 victory points wins.
Okay.
If you encounter your enemy, you guys can fight in space.
But you don't have to.
You don't have to.
Okay.
Of course. So you can always run away. But it's played best of 2 players. It's one of these older games, big box games, but it really holds up. And if you love Star Trek, you have to give it a try. It's Star Trek Fleet Captains.
Okay, that actually does not sound bad.
Yeah, we'll have to play it. I play it the most with Sarah, so she likes it. Okay. She's a big Trekkie too.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So
did not know that.
All right, number 99, we're going to stay in space.
Oh,
and
boy.
this was, for the long time, my filler game of choice, and that is Gravwell, Escape from the Ninth Dimension.
Wow.
Have you played Gravwell?
I've not even heard of this game.
Oh, it's so wonderful.
So not going to be on my list.
It could be after we play it, though.
Oh.
So one of my favorite mechanics in a game is getting into your opponent's head and trying to figure out what they're going to do so that you can respond to it. And Gravwell does that. That is the basis of this game. And what you are doing is you're stuck in a singularity in space with no gravity. So the only gravity is the ships around you.
Okay.
So there are derelict ships kind of down. Let me back up. It's a racing game essentially. All right. And you're going through this spiral trying to escape the singularity. Well, there is no gravity, so only other objects give you gravity. So there's 2 derelict ships outside the singularity that you get to be pulled towards. But what you do is you're going to draft cards. There's a set of 12 cards out there. You can see one's face down, and you're going to draft these, and that says how far you move. And it's how far you move to the closest item. So if me and John are playing and I go 3 out, I'm now the closest item. So if he plays 10, he goes 10 towards me. But now he's but he passes the derelict ship, and I'm still really far back. So now when John plays 5, he actually is going to go back towards that derelict ship because I didn't go in front of him.
Yeah.
So then he, instead of going forward, he actually goes backwards.
Gotcha.
So you're always anticipating like your initiative when you want to play your card to decide if I want to go before or after the opponents, who I want to go before me so I can use them to pull myself, or you can really tank it. You can make them go back, and then there's like cards that are like push cards, which are rare, and then there's also cards that like pull people towards you and stuff. But it's a really fun racing game. It's in 6. You either escape in 6 rounds, and whoever escapes wins, or at the end of 6 rounds, whoever is the furthest wins.
Gotcha. It sounds like it'll have a really good theme to being weightless and out in space. I mean, it's what it sounds like from what you're saying, how you move and everything. It sounds like it's, okay, that actually sounds kind of cool. Where it's like, whoa, here I go.
Exactly, and it feels that way for sure. And I love this game, and I played it a lot, but I will say this. I played it with a young kid once, and he ruined the game. Literally took us 3 rounds out of 6 before anybody actually left the singularity, because the kid was effectively playing random. So what I finally did is, I was like, okay, what's the worst possible decision he could make right now?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's the one he's going to make. So I played based on that. I finally pulled myself out, which then allowed everybody else to pull themselves out. So I was like, oh my goodness. So this is definitely a game. Don't play random. Don't play with somebody who thinks it's funny to be like, you can't guess what I did. I'm going to play random. That's not cool, man.
That might be the flaw in the game.
Yeah, that is the flaw in the game. So you got to buy into it. But it's a great experience. Plays like in 30 minutes or quicker if you really get out of there quick. So yeah, Gravwell, Escape from the Ninth Dimension.
Cool.
My number 98 used to be a top 10 game of all time for me.
What?
When it first came out.
It's all the way down to 98. Is this a game I played?
I don't think so.
Great.
It is superheroes.
Okay.
But it's not any superheroes you've heard of.
Then I probably haven't played
This is the craziest superheroes you could ever create.
Gosh,
because this is Heroes Wanted.
Heroes Wanted. I've heard of it at least.
Yeah, I think you would actually enjoy it, John.
Maybe.
Why it's so it's a generic superhero game, but what you are actually doing, it's not cooperative, even though it feels like it's cooperative, is you are fighting a big bad, and whoever does the most damage to the big bad wins. Even if the big bad escapes, you still determine who did the most damage, and you win. But there's other missions and other things that are happening throughout the game, so you can beat their minions and their henchmen, and you're getting points for the minions and the henchmen as well. And there's like 6 different maps with 6 different scenarios.
Okay.
And then as far as the heroes are concerned, it's all goofy because you actually take one top hero and one bottom hero, you combine them to make your hero. So you can take a top one that says like taco, and you can take a bottom one that says like whale. So you can be the taco whale.
So it's basically like Bad Company.
Well,
another fun
no,
game.
not
Another
Bad Company at all. Not at all. Actually, this game may not have known this, and I heard this, I believe, from like Rado Run Through or Dan, the Board Game Geek, from one of their videos. But apparently, Heroes Wanted was the catalyst for Gloomhaven. That's right.
Really?
Yeah, that's what the rumor is. There, because what Heroes Wanted does, everything you do is based on your cards. So if you want to attack, you play a card to attack. If you want to move, you play a card to move. And then you can like play a card to charge, which lets you move and attack. So everything, and then you play a card to pick them all up. So this was so while it's nothing like Gloomhaven, that hand mechanic, one would call a rondelle mechanic.
One would.
Inspired Gloomhaven. So, but anyways, this game is zany. It's fun. I haven't seen anything else quite out there quite like it. But there's like one person. This is one of my favorite examples of how the powers can be. Is one person does 168 damage to a minion.
Yeah.
Minions only have 2 damage. And the overkill doesn't matter. So like that's the kind of stuff that you get in. You're just adding 168 damage. I got 1 point.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
All right. Also, Heroes Wanted was one of the first Kickstarter games that I like went all in on.
Oh, really?
Stuff. Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. All right. Next one is 97, and that is Pathfinder, the adventure card game. If you ever wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons, but not want to roleplay, or take a lot of time preparing, or care about a story,
Or dress up.
No, dressing up is definitely required. You should play Pathfinder adventure card game. You take a deck which represents your hero, and you will have different adventures that you go on to, which are seeded by different locations. The different locations have different things in their deck. So they might have like 2 minions and 3 treasure and whatever. And now you, with your character deck, are moving to different locations, exploring. When you find something, you make skill checks to collect the thing that you found, which then goes into your deck. It's a deck building game, right?
It's a deck building game.
But then the fun part of this too is that if your deck ever runs out, you die. When you take damage, you're taking damage by discarding cards. So this your life is the card you are actually using to play, which again is very similar to Gloomhaven in that regard. Pathfinder Adventure card game was a big hit when it first came out. They made tons of different sets, and then all of a sudden now you can find it everywhere for like $2.
Huh?
Yeah, it's a weird thing, but pick up any set.
When did it come out?
Probably in like 2010s. I didn't write the years. Maybe the next
Gotcha.
ones I'll write the years so that I know for sure. But yeah, it's a fun game. Number 97.
Take your word for it.
All right. Number 96 is another game that I play largely with my wife, and this game is called Mottainai. Are you familiar with that one, John?
I am not.
Are you familiar with Glory to Rome?
I am at least have heard of Glory to Rome.
You've heard of Glory to Rome.
Played Glory to Rome.
And there's this whole thing about Glory to Rome and who owns the rights to it. It was republished in the Black Box edition. It was a Kickstarter that went horribly wrong. Well, the designer has soured on this game so much that he never wants to do Glory to Rome ever again. But he has made versions of Glory to Rome, and Mottainai is one of those versions, and some say it's actually better than Glory to Rome.
Do you say that?
I say it is.
Okay.
No, but there are actually Mike Fitzgerald, the designer of Baseball Highlights. It's actually his favorite game of all time.
Okay.
So there's some legitimacy here. People who love this game actually really love it. But it's a game where your cards have multiple purposes. So I can either use this card to I can put it into play so I can take the action of the color. Or I can put it into one of my wings, like you're essentially monks. The theme is stupid. You're essentially like monks making stuff for your gift store.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
So you can put it in the gift store, which if you do, I don't know the exact layout of this. It's been like a year since I played it. But if you put it at the gift store, it powers. So like if I put a blue card under here, when I take a blue action, it actually powers the blue action. And then if I put it over here in the cells area, then that's how I score points. So like if I have a blue card over here, I get like 1 blue card times 1 blue card over here. And then you have these other wings that actually when you play them, the cards actually have a special ability. So it says when you play a blue card, you also get to do this. So these cards are all synergetic. You always have a bunch of cards in your hand that you're like, I have 5 blue cards, but to take a blue action, I have to play one of the blue cards.
Yeah.
And then if I want a better action, I have to
blue
put the blue one over here.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you're like, I have a bunch of blue cards, but you're like, oh,
yeah.
crap. I'm only going to play one of these cards.
Yeah.
It has really great decisions. It's a great 2-player game. You can technically play it with more if you buy multiple sets, which I did, because it's just a small set of cards. So it's like $15 or $30. But I still have never played it with more than just one person, which has always been my wife.
You mean more than 2 people?
One other person.
Yeah.
I've never played it with... Okay. No, it's always been a 2-player game.
Yeah.
So
there's different wings. It's like a building?
Yeah, I mean, abstractly, yes.
There's different wings. So what do you call the space between them?
I don't know. I forgot.
Do you call it the wingspan? No.
Oh, well. Wow. Did you stay up all night thinking of that one?
Yes.
Yes. All right, we are now going to 95. All right, my number 95 is Bunny Kingdom. This is a drafting game. Yeah.
Okay.
I like my drafting games. You like drafting games
yeah,
too.
I
That's
do.
where I'll give John a hard time about his likes in games, but honestly, they're not bad. I just like to tease him. But I won't tease him about drafting games because that is definitely where we sync up.
Yeah.
But Bunny Kingdom is a quality drafting game that would probably move up on this list if I played it more. It's hard for me to get other people to play it. I don't know why. Largely, it's the scoring.
The theme and the name, maybe?
Yeah, that too. Have you played Bunny Kingdom?
I've not, because of the theme and the name.
Oh, we have to play it, dude.
Okay.
It's so good. So what you're doing is you're drafting cards that are coordinates on a board.
Okay.
And when you play them, you get to actually put your little bunny on that coordinate, and then you're trying to, it's area control essentially, and there's also castles. So you want to get, what you got to do is you got to collect multiple different resources in your little fiefdom. So if you have 4 different types of resources, and then you have built castles that have like different towers, like 1 tower is 1, 2 towers like times 2. You're gonna take the towers times the resources, and that's how much that fiefdom gives you.
Okay.
And then there's also, as you're drafting, there's also like end game scoring. So you're like, oh, I really need G5, but this end game scoring card is really hard to pass up, so you got to choose which one you want. And you're like, well, maybe G5 will come back to me.
Yeah.
And nobody else will, but if they do, then I got cut off from my fiefdom.
Gotcha.
So really interesting decisions. Also, this is the guy who designed Magic the Gathering.
There you go.
Which is Richard Garfield, right? Isn't that his name?
I think
and
so.
King of Tokyo.
Yep.
I think this could be my favorite of his games.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay,
I think so.
This is the highest we're going to see those on the list.
That's right.
Wow.
So Magic, spoiler, Chris, Magic is not on my list. So we'll have to get that one played.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Bunny Kingdom, good game. All right, next one I think you know a little bit about. It's a racing game. It takes place in the desert. You jump on top of people.
Camel Up?
Camel Up?
No way.
I love Camel Up.
Word.
What, do you not like Camel Up?
I hate Camel Up.
What?
And I think I've won every time I played, but I hate it. I just don't like that game at all.
What? It's so
the chances that,
fun.
To me, what you do on your turn just seems so obvious every time.
Well, yes, except the part that
there is
isn't
randomness,
obvious.
but the randomness comes in and might foil your plans. But you can admit
Yeah.
it. You can just sit there and do the math or something. And
No. The part where this game gets fun is when you are trying to figure out which one's going to win and how quick you are to vote on that.
Yeah.
That's what's important. That's
All right.
where it all hinges. But the other reason I like this game is, like, maybe the game isn't as good. Maybe you're correct. But the experiences I have playing this game cannot be ignored.
Okay.
Everybody I've played this game, they're standing up, they're hooting and they're hollering.
The hooting and the hollering
hooting
again.
and the hollering. Everyone I ever played it with, there was this really like sweet family that showed up to our second Friday game night once, and they had a family of 6. And I was like, you guys want to try
There you go.
Camel Up? And they're like, sure. I think they went out and bought Camel Up afterwards. And these are like people who just stumbled into a game night who said, I heard there was a game night.
They thought it was a
on."
bar or something.
And,
And then
yeah, with their kids. Yes. Yeah. And it was so much fun. And there was a small language barrier even there.
Wow.
So we like overcame that with this
Very
game.
good.
It was a great experience.
If they're not real into games, there's some parts of that game that might be hard to explain.
I
Really.
say
So
a
that's
little.
pretty good.
I was a little language barrier. I think
Yeah.
the kids understood it fine. The parents were a little iffy, so the
Okay.
kids kind of interpreted it from time to time. But
Gotcha.
I think largely they understood. But still, it was just this great unifying game. And every time I've played it, we've had that experience of just everybody around the table being very caught up in it and exciting. So that definitely deserves to be in the at least 190. Right.
Well, there you go.
Okay. All right, number 93 is a game that we did on the show.
Oh, really?
It was one of our review and releases.
Ah, so I played this game.
And it's definitely not Wingspan. That ain't making my list.
Be on your list.
So which one is it?
But is it Between Two Cities?
That's right.
Really?
Between Two Cities, yes.
Very nice.
Not very often do you get a game that comes out that is of quality that can be played with a bunch of people. And this is by far one of the best games I have played that can go up to like 8 people, is it? Is it 7?
At least 7.
At least, I think, it's 7,
I think 7 might be the limit.
But it plays so well, and it's a tile laying game. You're trying to build this 12 by 12 grid, but the catch is you're doing it with your partner. So but it's not just a partner game because only one of us is going to win. So me and John, we're working on our city here, but so are me and Andy.
Yeah.
So we're going to be working on our city here, and then so I have 2 cities. So whichever one scores the least is the one that I'm going to score.
Yeah.
So it's in your best interest to make everything as good as possible, despite Chris's theory of tanking. Oh no, Andy.
That was Andy.
Andy, I was trying to. This will be the city we tank.
First time we played, he's like telling me we need to start tanking this one. I'm like, I'm not seeing the strategy here. Why do we want to score this one as low as possible? That's going to be our city we score then. That makes no sense.
And I don't even think he scored the highest city either, but he definitely scored the lowest city, which means
you basically want highest, second highest next to you. That's ideally that's what you want.
Exactly, and you will probably guarantee to win that way. But yeah, it's just a fun, clever little game. You want to match buildings up next to each other in this 12 by 12 grid. Also, the Essential Edition, which is what's out there right now, comes with a little map that has like some dead zones. So it kind of gives you some I don't know if it's a flexibility. It just feels better. It feels like maybe it's broken up a little bit.
Makes you have to build a little differently.
Yeah, exactly.
Than every city. You can just sit here and start cramming stuff together.
Yeah,
and it's also, I don't know. It also makes it look so much cooler. I mean,
it does.
By the time you have the tiles on there and you have that, it looks like a real city. And it's got this little park going through it and stuff. So aesthetically, it looks great too. But yes, what I like is it's a real game. Yeah. I mean, you're making some real decisions.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's not overly complicated. Every building scores differently. You can they have a thing on it. Once you know how they score. I mean, if you're just relying on look at the thing, it shows you how it's scored. No, once you know how it's scored, then the little symbols make sense on each building. Sure. And so you're like, oh yeah, these score like this. And if you don't remember, you have a partner right there that's not going to be lying to you. They're going to help you.
Shouldn't be unless you're Andy.
Working on the same one. And they're like, oh no, we need more of these. Do you have any that if you can get some next round, we really need another one right here because I didn't have any. So a lot of table talk between you and your partners and everything, and you can look at what everybody else's city is doing. So you're like, we're not going to get the most of those. There's like no way they're grabbing every one of them. And so it's really cool, and it plays quick. It doesn't matter how many people, it's going to play the same amount of time.
Yeah, and it's a rare game where while there's cooperation, there's a single winner, and it's not. I wouldn't even call it semi-co-op. You're literally just building the city together, but like I'm still wanting to beat you clearly. Yeah. But it's in both of our interests to make this one succeed. Yeah. So it's really cool. Also, it has the mechanic another mechanic I really enjoy, which is why I like this other game that's gonna be later in my list. Spoiler, which is Tiny Towns. Wow. I love this idea of like I'm building out a grid and I'm trying to save these 3 spots for a future building that may or may not come. And then it's like, so I'm going to save this region for parks, and I'm going to save this region for businesses. So I'm going to hope to grow this way. And then you don't get it. So you're like, okay, well, what do I sacrifice? Do I finally sacrifice the park? Like, I love that forward thought of building a structure or something like that. So.
Good point. Yeah, you do a lot of that in this game.
So yeah, that was 93 between 2 cities.
It's probably higher than that on my list, to be honest.
Oh, okay, cool. Is that the first?
That's the first. I think it's the first game you've had that I've played. No, I played Camel Up.
You played Camel Up.
The first one I played and liked.
That's right. Well, this next one, you may not have played either.
Oh, great.
This one is a trivia game.
Oh, what are we up to?
92.
Okay.
Yeah, 92 is a trivia game. I actually really love trivia games. They probably would be featured more on my list if I could actually get people to play. Okay. But this one is Timeline Challenge. So have you ever played Timeline?
Yeah.
Okay, so Timeline, the concept of Timeline is you have an event and you say, is it before or after this event?
Correct.
Well, Timeline Challenge kind of gamifies this a little bit more. There's a board which you're racing to the end, and whoever's the furthest away will land on a space that triggers which kind of trivia game that's going to be played this round. So maybe it's just timeline, but it could also be guess the exact year. So you might say, when was JFK assassinated? And you say 1963. Okay, so then we reveal what it is, which is it 62?
I believe so.
Okay, we'll say it's 62. In fact, I think it's 63.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. But what it was is we would reveal it, and it's 1962. There we go. So John would get 4 points because he got the 1, the 9, the 6, and the 2 correct. But I would get 3 points because I got the 1, the 9, and the 6 right, but not the last one.
Okay.
And there's just a bunch of different little mini games that play like that. And then at one point you cross like a line and you get a face off, and that's where you play like just timeline, where it's like me and John are just going back and forth until one of us gets it wrong.
I gotcha.
So there's just a lot of really fun things with this game, and like most good trivia games, you don't have to know the precise answer to do well, which makes this game pretty much universal and good for anybody to play. Though if somebody says they're not good with history, don't play this game with them. I did it with my sister, and she didn't know if JFK was killed like before or after the internet was created. And I was like, oh my gosh, Michelle. I was like, okay, well, I won't ever ask you to play this again.
You're like, man, that should be a gimme.
Yeah. So, okay. So that was 92, Timeline Challenge. All right, now for the last of this section of 10.
That's right. This is it.
That's it. Is a Mars game.
Okay.
But it does have Mars in the title. Does not. So
it doesn't have Mars in the title.
Do you got any guess?
Did you say it does not have Mars in the title?
Does not. It is Mission
Red Planet.
That's right. This game is so enjoyable. This has a mechanic that I enjoy a lot, which is where everybody has the same cards in their hand. And when you play those cards, the order in which you play those cards are effectively going to make everybody play differently. But what you're ultimately doing is you have space shuttles that are going to Mars to populate it, and you're playing your cards that will allow you to populate these shuttles that will go to Mars to harvest crystals, and you're like, yay, and it's area controls. If you have the most there, you get the crystals. But some of your cards say blow up a ship. So you're like, okay, well, I'm going to be in the ship with John because he hasn't played his blow up a ship card. I'm going to be in the ship with him so that he doesn't use that card on me.
There you go.
But if me and Andy are in this card and he hates us, he's going to blow us up whether we were a threat or not.
Yeah.
So, and then there's like one card that lets you move your people on Mars, but there's only 10 cards and there's only 10 rounds. One of the cards is pick up all your cards. So that's another thing that's part of this game. So you could literally just keep playing those 3 cards 3 times, and that's your game. Or actually not even 3 times.
Yeah.
Because you got to
pick
them up twice. And there's like segments in the game where it says that like at this point you score some of the gems. Then the second point, you score more of the gems, and then at the last round, you score all the gems. So if you control an area first round, you get a little bit of points. But if I take that area from you, I'll actually get more points the second round, and you kind of go like that. So
okay. This is a very fun game, and
you played it? Okay, I was explaining it to you.
And it has really cool little space guys.
It does.
Oh my gosh, they're so fun to play with, and little pudgy guys.
Someone lost one of my blue guys.
Oh,
I know. I bring it to my Second Fridays a lot, and it's actually a really popular one that gets played a lot.
Sometime.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably did. But yeah, I love the little guys, and once again, I love that too. Like in Libertalia, whatever. Everybody, and you're kind of staring each other down. Did he play that yet?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's played that yet. Because I don't want to be the first one to play it, but if he plays that, I'm going to play. Yeah, I love that whole strategy of how you play these cards that everybody has the same ones in their hand. It's really cool.
You know, there's a common theme with these games that I talked about today. These were all older games.
Oh.
I know. Chris thinks I'm Cult of the New.
Well, this is pretty low on the list, though.
Well, I know, but still, hey, it counts, right? These are 8s. I give them an 8. I would play any of these games anytime anybody asked me.
Cool.
So, want to play Star Trek Fleet Captains now?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I got 5 hours.
All right, great. So, till next time, we'll see you around the board.